my hope for this particular series is for people to see themselves in Benita. Like, this is an incredibly capable, brilliant woman who's at the top of her game, who in any other circumstance would never have like fallen victim to this particular situation. But when you have someone who is so adept at manipulation and deception and is able to sort of engage in such a charm offensive, like there's no defense against that, you know? Like, you have this surgeon who's also at the top of his game, who is famous, who's pioneering this like very exciting field of medicine, and you're you know, doing this story on him, and he chooses you to woo and fly around the world and then eventually propose to. Like, it really is the stuff of fairy tales. And I think for a woman like Benita, who was, you know, essentially a single mom, super focused on her career, this was not something that she was really pining for or looking for. I think she was pretty fulfilled in life. So she was just sort of swept off her feet. She was surprised. And I think the reason that it sort of worked, and she was, you know, for all intents and purposes, like tricked into this relationship with this deceitful person, it all happened so slowly that it was believable. This was someone who definitely would have had like alarm bells, you know, ringing if someone weren't just like as adept at this kind of deception. So yeah, I think it's easy if you're someone who has really bought into how her life is sort of unfolding in the most magical sense that she never sort of expected, for all of that to come crashing down in such a magnificent way. It's easy to feel betrayed. It's easy to go back and sort of pinpoint every single lie. And I think in a case like this, with Dr. Death and what my character sort of experiences, again, my hope is that for people to be able to see themselves in it.
What did the doctors say?
Nothing. They just ran a bunch of tests and no one's told me anything. I've just been sitting here by myself.
On its surface, if you were just to tell someone, yeah, this man proposed to you and then promised that like the Pope was gonna officiate your wedding, like, of course, on the surface, that sounds like the most insane thing. But again, the genius of what he does is that it all happens so slowly that it is somewhat believable. He is this famous surgeon who's performing surgeries in Russia and London and Chicago, and he's Italian and based in Karolinska, where they give out the Nobel. There's so much of his life that he was able to sort of keep quiet and private enough that it was believable that, wow, maybe he is a part of this like secret society who is sort of the doctor for the Pope and ex-presidents and diplomats around the world, that if we are getting married, like, it is believable that the Obamas and the Clintons would be on the guest list. But again, it's because, you know, those seeds have been planted over, you know, 2+ years. You know, any regular person would be like, well, this is just sort of what our life looks like together. Again, there is something so fascinating to me too about this world. Like, the innate trust that we hand doctors and the medical system, thinking that we are going to be taken care of and we don't necessarily have to advocate for ourselves. There is somebody looking out for us. It's wild to think that that's not necessarily the case. And so that's why a show like this is so specifically interesting to me.